Mickey, let's just get your opinion on this first of all, because the lads have both had their say this morning about Raheem Sterling moving to Chelsea, which seems like a good move for him. Is there any surprise from you for Manchester City, if the deal does go ahead, letting him leave for a club like Chelsea?
I think it'll be a big surprise. I've got to be totally honest with you, Laura. I don't think he had his best season at Manchester City last time around, but I think he's certainly still got something to offer at the Premier League champions in my eyes, because I think the way that Man City play, they need pace. They need power in those final positions. And certainly when Raheem Sterling was playing or when he came off the bench, he certainly has an impact. And he's still got that question mark over the top of his head. Is he a good finisher? Well, you look at how many goals he's got, since he's been playing for Liverpool and Man City. He might need a few chances to tick the ball in the back of the net. But I think, overall, if you want to make a comparison, did he have a better season than Jack Grealish, who went there for £100 million, then I would have to say, then yes, he did, because, he's so dynamic, and I think he brings something to Man City, and I think it'd be a big miss if they actually let him go. I know everybody's going to be talking about Haaland next season, and rightly so, because he's such a dynamic and outstanding player. But I think he makes Man City squad a lot better. And I think, if you're selling to one of your rivals for 50 million quid, then it's only going to make Chelsea better, and it's going to bring them closer to Man City and Liverpool.
Mickey, when you look at him last season, he still scored, I think, 13 Premier League goals. So it wasn't an awful season. Can you still understand Sterling's frustration in terms of his playing minutes?
No, absolutely, Benty. And, look, I think you have to be patient in Man City. I think there's certain periods through the season where, I don't know if it's in Pep's mind, where he figures out what the players, if they need a break and you don't play for 4 or 5 weeks. No, it's not just him in a certain position. There's other players in certain positions that don't play for the same period of time. If you look at Mahrez on that right-hand side, you might not see him for 4 or 5 weeks. And then when they come back into the team, they make a huge impact. And they're all outstanding players. And it just depends how many offensive players that Pep Guardiola can maybe keep hold of. That's certainly one of the positions where, I just mentioned before, Jack Grealish is there now. Obviously Haaland, we don't know how Man City are going to play next season, if they're going to have to change the way that they play, because they've got an out-and-out striker now who I think overall is going to play a lot of games if he keeps himself fit. And if Raheem knows that he's going to get frustrated and he's not going to play for 4 or 5 weeks, does he want to go through that again? So I think maybe that's one of the reasons why all this speculation started, and he wants to actually leave the club. That Chelsea have come in for him. I'm not sure it's just going to be Chelsea. I think there'll be a lot of sides, European sides, that will come in for Raheem. I think it's just down to what he wants to do as an individual. If he wants to be patient, if he wants to keep winning trophies, then he should actually probably stay at Man City.
That's what I was going to ask you, Mick. Is there a risk for Raheem to leave Man City? Because, we talk about the odds for the title next year. I imagine Man City and Liverpool will be odds on again to win the title. So he's walking away from that. So do you think it's a risk? You want to finish your career, I suppose, a player of that stature, winning as many titles as possible?
No, Shay, I look at it in the way that, has he got anything to prove to anybody, Raheem? I don't think he has. I think he doesn't really let anybody down when he plays for Man City, and I think probably a lot of people would agree with this. When he plays for England, I don't think he's ever let anybody down. I think if you look at his goal scoring record, him and Harry Kane are probably the only 2 goal scorers that England have got. I know people might raise their eyebrows at that and think, well, we've got Mason Mount, we've got other players who can score goals, but I think over the last 2 or 3 seasons for his country, he is one of England's top goal scorers. He makes us better. He makes things happen. I talked about him being so dynamic. I don't think we've got too many players playing for England who can certainly do that role that Raheem Sterling does. He makes England better, and that's why I always think that if you're selling a top player to one of your rivals, you're going to make them better. You're going to get them closer to Man City and Liverpool, because I think it's going to be a 2-horse race again. I've got to be completely honest with you. They've done the business early. Man City and Liverpool have done exactly the same thing. But Raheem's been there for quite a long time now. Look, I don't know if he's one of the players. Shay, you know this better than me. You've been at that club. I don't think Raheem Sterling's ever been a huge fan favourite. I think they respect him, and I think they've loved what he's done at the club. But I go and watch Man City every home game, and there's a lot of players at that club where they've got the songs for every single player. I don't think they've ever had that for Raheem Sterling. I don't think he ever had it at Liverpool, and I don't think he's ever had it at Man City. Maybe he just feels a little bit unloved.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think sometimes when a player leaves the club, sometimes you don't realise how good a player was until he's gone. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see if that's the case with Raheem as well. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But every time I've been to see him play, I can probably count on one hand, the amount of bad games that he's had for Man City whenever he's played. And I know, over the seasons, he's had those seasons where he scored over 20 goals a season. He's done ever so well in the European games. And when that starts to drop and his assists start to drop, then maybe we look into that a little bit too deep and think, well, hang on a minute. Is he on the downslide? But I don't think he is. I think he's one of those type of players who, doesn't let the media kind of get to him a little bit. I think he just gets on with his work. He's very low key, but I'd love him in my squad. I think Pep Guardiola would be crazy to get rid of Raheem Sterling.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.